Hey, it's Matthew David, the Minister of Allowing. So let me tell you a story quick. It's about this. This is the Beethoven Brain CBD. So what makes this unique is, first of all, well, my friend gave me a call and he wanted me to, get into the CBD. And he said, you like it. You've been using CBD. And I'm like, yeah, I've been using it. And I was using a different blend. And he said, well, here's what's different. Okay, now my friend's a genius. He's in his 20s. He built a company that was the fastest growing company in the industry that he was in, sold it for $50 million this year. He's sunk almost $1 million into this manufacturing for the CBD. And he said, listen, the reason why ours is different is that our blend uses physics to extract a full 100% of the plant. So it doesn't use any chemicals. It doesn't use anything abrasive or anything that would cause any impurities in the blend. It extracts the full amount, the full 100% of the plant. And so that is important to me. And we got 5,000 milligrams. So we're going all in on this. I am of the pure mind of God. I am the resurrection and the life in my body, my finances, my relationships, and my world. I qualify everything in my world with perfection. I am perfection. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I accept only God's perfection, His good, in my outer circumstances. I know in my heart that God is all in all. I am absolutely not concerned about what happens, because I know wonderful things are happening now. Hello, it's Matthew David, God's ambassador of free will. So you see this here? This pear tree? So the mistake of science is to assume that gravity is what brings this pear to the earth. So in reality, the high potential condition of that solid pear sought the similar high potential condition, so it fell to the earth to fulfill nature's law of like seeking like. Now, in addition to that, you can see if it's been around for a while, for some time. In other words, if we sat with the pear for a while, we would have witnessed the same pear rise unto the heavens as a low potential gas seeking a like low potential position to balance its electrically divided state. So I just want to put one idea to rest. And this erroneous concept that you can exist within a construct of creation in an entirely separate state. You see, that's an illusion. In other words, I cannot put on a face mask and exist in a state of equilibrium with my Creator when I am under the construct or the idea or the volition of thought that is in defiance to my Creator. So let me speak to you about that for just a second. So desire and the light of mind for creative expression is the only energy in the universe, and all motion is mind motivated, and there is only motion. There's rest and agitation. So rest is the idea of God's man, forever held in its proper place, and agitation is the simulated experience of the human conundrum, how we move through time, which is a false construct, and it derives itself from the five senses. And all of the sciences of the five senses is under the false pretense that God cannot be conceptualized or understood by science, when in fact what man calls magnetism is the exact principle of the electric wave phenomenon that we would call the hand of God. So what am I saying? Well, motion itself, we know that agitation is the atom dream of consciousness. It's agitation and rest. So as we move about through time and space with our vessel, we are experiencing with our five senses this agitation. And then we try to build a science out of it by observing the realm of effects which do not produce effects. Remember, the world out there is an empty carcass. So this motion itself is controlled by the mind of its creator, who uses it to express his desire for simulating idea of mind by giving it a framed body. See, there's no other purpose for motion. So we have God's mind, and then we have the mortal mind. We have ignorance that swept the earth, or what we would call the father of lies. And so the father of lies has built a construct based on fear. And that construct based on fear is the image, or the graven image, I should say, of the shameful mask-wearing phenomenon where this alleged new normal takes place. But you see, in the day of rest, in the perfect Sabbath day, God never created man to exist in a graven image of God. And so God is forever imagining himself in its perfected glory as God's man. And that force is called radiation. So we have two forces, and science only sees one of them. Science sees motion. That's agitation. So when you walk through the world of the five senses, you see agitation. But void of the five sense material dream, there would only be light, rest, or what we call radiation of spirit. And see, the radiation of spirit permeates all and is not contained with any construct called matter, for matter is an illusion. And so if we are to be the idea in the image and likeness of God, we are to be forever held in our perfect place, regardless of what the agitation seems to be convincing our five senses of. An example is when Mary Baker Eddy talked about rising in rebellion against all claims of material sense. For instance, let's say you had a growth on your body. Mary Baker Eddy knows there's no cause for that growth. This is the science of healing. You see, the agitated experience in time and space of the growth contains the, get this, because the motion itself is controlled by the mind of the creator, who uses it to express his desire for simulating idea of mind by giving it a formed body. There's no other purpose for motion. So the idea of mortals created this idea that showed up to the material sense within the person who witnesses this growth. And so that mind, or that volition of mind, is with fear. And fear is sin, because it's outside, or it's ignorant of the Father. All sin is ignorance of the Father. The Father is forever held in his perfect place of understanding himself as perfection. That's all the fruits of the Spirit. So you look into the fruits of the Spirit and you say, this is what the completed works of God looks like in the mind of God, as God witnesses his own creation that he created and called it all good. Now, outside of what he created and called it all good exists nothing. So this mind of mortality, or this nothingness, this illusion of material sense perceiving a growth which God never created, because God didn't authorize it, God didn't author it. God was never sick, God is never sick, and God will never be sick. So his man, or his image and likeness, his imagined creation, never for one moment contains an ounce of sickness. So to behold that truth is to come to a place of rest within that idea. So we occupy the state of that idea, and the volition of thought becomes our perceived awareness of reality. That's to be of one mind, of one accord, to be of the mind of Christ. Now, to walk through a state of this world and be afraid of what man will say or do to you or infringe upon you is to violate not human rights, because humans have no rights, but the right in passage of spirit moving within itself, and that idea is freedom that is forever an idea of God in God's own creation. And that idea of freedom is also conjoined with the idea of goodness. And that goodness does not contain any ounce of worry or concern or lack of, you see, lack of anything. So when one is putting on a mask, they are taking on the volition of thought of the father of lies and putting that graven image into the world as causation. Because when you join with it, in other words, if you had a growth on you and you started to say, well, this is the cancer. The minute you say it is the cancer, the minute you acknowledge its existence, then you bring upon yourself the law of sin and death. You bring upon yourself the condition of state from within the mind or the volition of that construct. You've agreed to it. You've joined with it. You've come into joinder with it. And so rising in rebellion, as Mary Baker Eddy would do, is that she would see a so-called condition of the five senses and tell people to wake up. Get out of your dream. God never created sickness. God never for one moment allowed his perfect creation to become obstructed by some erring human mortal concept that is outside of the will of good, life seeking more life and expressing perfection through and within itself. And this correct understanding of what God is and what God is also not. God is not sin, sickness, disease, poverty, death, strife, any of the sins of the flesh, or graven images. So to wear a mask is no different, because we are doing it for what reason? Because we want to be nice. We want to be kind. And the word nice in Middle English in its proper root means stupid. So if we want to be stupid and we want to agree with our accuser, well, then we suffer the consequences and the penalties of that sin. And so we cannot be in a state outside of the condition of idea, because all in the universe is idea. God's idea is forever held in its proper place. That is what the Sabbath day is, the day of rest. You exist in that. That's radiation. That's called light. That is the force that the human five senses does not perceive. And you see, that's the force that you don't see when the pear drops. You only see the gravitation. You only see the agitation. You don't see the rest. And see, that is the zero, where anything divided or multiplied by zero becomes the zero. And zero is the infinite, and the one in the zero is God, the infinite one. So you, in a state of agitation as the one, you see, you as a state of agitation as the one must come to understand the position of rest as the zero. And that is the correct sight of man within God's mind, not human, erring, mortal opinions.
For if this virus really scours the earth and it seeks to destroy humanity, then it must have an author. It must have an authority and an authorization to perform on any so-called contract which would infringe upon life itself. And since God never created a contract to infringe upon its own perfect existence within its own goodness, which is the idea of the fruit, see that fruit of the Spirit, that is the permanent place of rest, that is the mind of God, that is never obstructed upon. If you are to walk in that mind, then you are to walk from that position in authority, knowing the truth behind why you are walking in that authority. For if God walks with me, who or what can be against me? You see, the minute I go and take care for that lump that is on the body, and the minute I go and take reasoning for trying to fix the problem, in other words, I just want to fix the problem by being like everyone else and putting my mask on. I just want to fix this problem. We have this problem. And in the mind of God, there is no problem. And so we have to come to the place of knowing there is no problem. We don't become a graven image and reflect the problem as becoming a cause upon strife in the world, and pretend that we're patting ourselves on the back because we are such a happy, kind, or Middle English stupid person. You see, if I were to ever have a lump that shows up, I would not put on the garment of the society that is against the condition itself and start to produce my attitude in a way that brings about more reflection of the same problem. So let me ask you a question. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Just like this girl yesterday that I saw taking infinite selfies of herself with her mask on. What is that reflection? Is that the reflection of God's perfect harmony? And if so, why is it not a permanent condition of reality? It seems quite temporal, does it not? And anything that is temporal is illusory, and it is not factual. It is fiction, in fact. And so if I'm going to reflect fiction back to myself and call it life, then I am sleeping further in ignorance. So just ideas to think upon. I'll be back with Sabrina in just a moment. Okay, so just real quick before I pick up Sabrina, I just want to tell you this. You do whatever makes you happy. I'm not trying to tell you to do anything or change anything about your life. You do whatever brings you peace of mind. So in my estimation, the idea of trying to appear stupid to appease the stupid is really just about fear. And that's the way I look at it, because whenever something is coming along to obstruct freedom, what you are asserting yourself with is that there is an imposition upon God that I must apply performance to. You see, I must apply my performance to some imposition that has come upon God in order for me to create harmony. Well, there is no harmony in disharmony, so we don't go to the disharmony as a reflection of its own stupidity. We go to the disharmony in the knowledge and the factual persistence of what God knows to be true in God's mind, that is never obstructed, never opposed upon, and never infringed upon by any ignorance outside of the fact, the position that God is all, and never created any of this ignorance to begin with.
Are you feeling embarrassed and stuck because you can't focus or concentrate? I have a confession to make. I spent years unable to think clearly, like I was in a fog. I was going through the motions, running my companies, and I hated feeling groggy and mentally sluggish. I couldn't get ahead like this. It's no secret, the powers that be want us dumbed down. Chemicals, fluoride, our brains are under siege, and we are experiencing lower IQs. But now there's a weapon to fight back and win. Introducing DNA Evolve, a revolutionary breakthrough in a category of cognitive enhancers called nootropics. I've been using DNA Evolve and couldn't feel better. For me, it works. It feels great to get things done again and get ahead. Try a free sample for yourself at DNAEvolveSample.com. That's DNAEvolveSample.com. Supplies are limited, so go to DNAEvolveSample.com right now.
Okay, so humble confession time. Sabrina's on her way. She had to deal with some disciplinary stuff with our daughter Leora. Leora's wonderful, but you know, she's getting to that age where sometimes she needs a little kick in the pants, not physically, but spiritually. So that brings me to my point here. Mary Baker Eddy, who discovered this science of healing, which applies to everything from money to health, everything, you name it. She discovered that you have to spiritualize your thought, okay? Now, remember when I talked to you about the pear, that's a physical phenomenon according to your five senses. It's in a state of it's a fast moving wave that you perceive as a solid, okay? High density. So the deal here is that that's how you perceive it. So as God's ambassador of free will, my position in this relationship with you is to jump into the position where you have this free will, where you get to choose how you identify yourself. So Mary Baker Eddy said you are absent from the body and present with the Lord. Now, again, that's the low potential or the low density state, seeking a further low density state when the pair was basically dead to the world, right? It's going to the heavens. It is like seeking like seeking like. That's the principle I'm talking about here. It's like seeking like. See, if you're going to identify with the minds of tyrants and you're going to be like seeking like, well, you can't occupy the volition of thought. You can't insert yourself into the mind of a tyrant and become a cog in their matrix and have a different state of resonance. I'm sorry, but that doesn't work. Okay, that's like saying 2 + 2 = 3. I'm going to insert myself into that equation, but I'm going to bring about a different precipitate. I'm going to bring about a different outcome or a different yield. So for some of you right now, you're thinking, Matthew, this is like a long, slow, seductive striptease. I've been waiting for Sabrina to get on here the whole time. It's been like, 16 minutes and she's not here yet. Don't worry, she'll be here. For others, they're like, whoa, like I'm gonna have to sit with this material for quite a while and reflect on it. And I'm saying, yes, you should do that. So before Sabrina gets here, I really think you should sit and reflect on some of this material. Because, well, if most people told you what they were thinking, they'd be speechless, because they're not. They're reflecting, and they're reflecting the ideas, the lies of men, and they're becoming joined with the lies of men. So, my purpose here is to just come into that place of free will where you have decision-making abilities and help you see different opposing sides that you haven't observed yet. So it's the moment you've been waiting for.
Hi. Good afternoon.
I told him it was like a long, seductive striptease. They had to wait this whole time for you to show up on the video, and now you're here.
Here I am. Hi, how's everybody doing?
Isn't she the cutest?
Oh, stop it.
She really is, though. She makes me feel like I'm 6'5", and I'm only 5'1", so it's pretty incredible how short this woman is.
You're so funny.
Anyway, what were you thinking today? What was your prayer about?
I never had a chance to jump on yet because I've now been over inundated with demands from the tribe.
Well, do this. Let's make your topic right now, and I'll upload it tonight. It's Sunday, so when you guys see this, you're going to see the real deal live version. It'll be late at night because it takes time to process, but I'm going to get it up tonight.
Okay. So wait, you want me to say what my topic is? What do you mean?
Oh, what's on your mind?
Well, the meditation of the reading that I read this morning that I'd read out loud for everybody was...
Talk a little louder.
Oh, what I read earlier in my daily reader
Uh-huh.
that I didn't go live for the prayer yet is with regards to, I believe it had to do with making mistakes.
What
And
about making mistakes?
Just recognizing that a mistake doesn't have to consume your entire life. Just like Adam and Eve, made mistakes. Like us being humans, it's inevitable. We'll make mistakes, and to not live in that constant
Identification.
punishment. Yeah, and punishing ourselves
Yes.
for this mistake. So if you made a mistake in the past of your life, you don't need that to identify and be your identity for the rest of your life, and forgive yourself.
See, that's perfect. So if you identify as a material person, then you're believing your whole life is a mistake, because God never created a material person. So if you live from the flesh, that's what I've been saying here, is that if you are that high potential state, okay, of physical, like the pear that falls from the tree, because it seeks light, it seeks to earth itself, grounding. It needs to ground. You're ungrounded. When you say that you are material, you are high potential that is ungrounded, okay? You're not rooted. Ungrounded means you have no root. You're not rooted in fact. So you have to fall. You have to literally take a fall in that state in order for you to spiritualize yourself and to become the low density state that ascends to the heavens.
Yeah, like a mistake. A mistake is like grounding. I
Uh-huh.
also was reading earlier, and I'd like to read a little excerpt from the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder, and she was just, I was reading about just blessing everything. Blessing even perceived wrongdoings, or blessing, maybe you get a letter in the mail that's threatening, and instead of cursing it, because when you curse something, you like give it power for that which you curse, but when you bless it, you bring about the good that's coming from it. So
There's a fine distinction there, because when Jesus cursed the fig tree, he cursed it to death, okay? He cursed the fig tree to death. The reason why he did that is because he's cursing an idea that his father did not make, okay? But he blessed all. He blessed all,
we're by the music.
even his enemies.
It's so loud.
You're right.
Oops. Oh well, we're gonna have a little music excerpt.
Let's take a little break for the music here.
All right, ready?
Smells like barbecue.
Pizza.
Pizza.
Here.
I'm going to have to go tell these guys to get their masks on, because I'm starting to get worried that everybody's caught on to this already.
No, I saw somebody with their mask on, very obedient.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm not going to be able to preach anymore if everybody starts taking their masks off again.
You'll have nothing to talk about.
It's over. My ministry will be complete then. So, anyway, we went out the other night. Tell them about what we went out, and we went to 3 places.
3 places in a row. First, it was 2 places in a row, and we were just tickled pink, and we shared with you the sunset. The sky and the clouds were beautiful. And then we went one more place after that, and there wasn't a mask in sight. It was glorious. It was just glorious.
Not a mask in sight.
Not a mask in sight.
How extraordinary is that?
Except for we did get a conversation with a gal who shared how she had gotten some fungal bacteria from wearing a mask.
Right?
Be obedient and actually get something.
Well, that's right. Well,
It's sad. Don't do it.
okay, so you understand that all of the constructs that they work from on the planet, see, universities are built from minds, and these minds have observed the world of effects through the 5 senses, and then they create a science based on it, but all these sciences have been void, taking the creator out of the creation. And because they say you can't quantify it, you can't measure it, so they don't put it into the science. Well, here's the deal, is that you have to put the creator back into his creation in order for you to experience any sort of truth whatsoever. That's why science always undoes itself every few years, because there's no truth in it, because the creator has been void of it.
Yeah.
Look, even the, even Newton's law was wrong, okay? It did not fall because of gravity. That's only one force. You're missing radiation. So when you talk about the I am discourses, that's been my favorite one for quite some time now. They always use the word radiation and octave and everything. I want to read something to you. So I want to tell you about creation itself, and I want to tell you how this all comes into the play.
Before you say that, can I share something real quick?
Yeah.
So when Matthew shared a little bit of this earlier with me, what I saw instantly when he said what he's about to share with you about radiation is like if you ever watch my prayer, we talk about tuning into your heart space and sending out love from your heart and feeling it, that feeling. When he shared with me what he's probably about to share now, it's like, wait, is that like that? So
it's radiation, yes.
That's your radiation.
And that's quite literal.
Of how powerful the morning prayers are, whatever intentions you make, whatever love you saturate something with, pink light, whatever your practice is of utilizing the radiation he's about to.
That's right, because gravity is a centripetal force that is a pressure moving inward. That's why when you feel that you're under the gravity of life circumstances, or the pressure is on you, or the squeeze, that's what the word means, to squeeze, pressure, okay? The motion, squeeze, pressure, all this stuff's coming upon you. Well, that's when you're identified, okay, as the solid matter that falls to the ground. You want to identify yourself as the low density seeking the heavens. That's the law of spirit that sets you free from that. Okay, so that is the physical representation in that analogy. But I want to read this to you quick. So, desire and the light of mind for creative expression is the only energy in this universe. All motion is mind motivated. All motion records minds, thoughts, and matter. All matter, okay, is but pressure conditioned motion. Varying pressure conditions reveal varying states of motion. Varying states of motion are what science misinterprets as the elements of matter. Varying pressures in a wave are tonal. In each octave wave there are 4 pairs of tones, each of which has the same relative position in an octave color spectrum, and it has its octaves of chemical elements. Waves are therefore electric pressure conditioned octaves of tones. So,
we gotta go.
Oh, the bridge is opening. They're about to open the bridge. We gotta go. We don't want to get caught in a juxtaposed position of facing our own mortal extinction
Holy
here.
Buckets.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, let's watch it. Turn it around, pause.
Well, let's get off the goddamn bridge before it opens up. The bridge is gonna open up. We're sitting on the bridge. Okay. So I'll let you guys see the bridge open up here.
If you want to. It's a little loud, but we could go down here and watch it. Look at that! We made it just in time.
Yep. They're closing us out.
Oh no, that car! Oh no!
Uh-oh, this guy got his car caught. He just scratched his car up with the... Anyway, that was a slight little mistake that's going to cost him a few $100. Or probably more. Anyway, we'll see the bridge right here in the backdrop, see? Yeah, they scratched their car. At least it's just a car. They didn't go on the bridge where they'll be destroyed, so it's all good.
Boy, that's why
Here.
you stop before the white line when there's a white line somewhere. So wait, other thing that's happening right now besides them lifting the bridge is right now there's fishermen everywhere. Oh, this guy's getting a fish right now, flipping around, and the salmon are running. So I wonder if he caught a salmon.
Well, we'll get up there. Look at, I bring her with me and all hell breaks loose. That's why I've left her at home. She's too much power. She's too powerful. Like the earth shatters and shakes when she shows up. I'm trying to keep peace here. This guy's got a big catch. Look at this. He's catching something. He's got his whole pole in there. Can you see him? Not yet. Here, hold on. He broke his line.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, they say life
That
is
fish was pretty powerful.
life
It
is
did
about
not.
perspective, right?
That fish was like, I am not dying today. Not
Yeah.
today.
That fish
Not today, Satan.
had a miracle. It was,
Yeah. Well, that was exciting.
yeah, it was great. How are you?
Yeah.
Good.
Perfect day.
Yep. So,
All right, what were you talking about? I'm sorry.
oh, let's
So
start.
many
Let's start
distractions.
fresh. We just had a reset. So,
I always say that there's so many things asking for our attention, and how to stay present and be grateful for the distractions, because what we think we should be talking about or what we think we should be doing or focusing on, sometimes, life comes through to remind us that we're not completely in control.
yeah,
Just gotta go with the flow.
exactly. Hey, did you see that? How many people? Germany had a uprising in Britain. So Germany and Britain, what did the media? The media reported how many people were
I
there?
think he was saying that the media was reporting 18,000, but when in all actuality there was like closer to 5 million. But the media is downplaying it.
Well,
Of
yes,
them
of course.
sitting it out. They're sitting it out until they overthrow the government, until the government resigns.
So what the people need to understand is that governance comes from within spirit, okay? It's self-leading, self-fulfilling, okay? Governance is an inside job. So as long as man keeps projecting outward these positions that they call power and putting corrupted mortals in those positions, we're going to have a repeat fractaling cycle, which is the same thing as the radiation in motion. It's the oscillating wave cycles of electricity through time and space. But we can do that now. We can take governance from within ourselves now.
I'm ready.
Me too.
Okay.
So here's how I do it. So again, you've seen me do the PTT technique, and I love this technique. And I'm just going to do it right now. And so the way that it works is we take something that is our five senses, right? We take a science. Our five senses record something that seems to be in error. And what we do is we bring that into its perfected state of what is true regardless of appearances, and we rest on it, come to a place of rest with it, and then we change our harmonic and our vibration to attune to it so that we're not outside of its harmonic.
Okay.
It's an octave, radiation in octaves, you see?
Yeah.
All right, so let's pick something. We got to find a problem. Is there a problem around here? It's hard when we're being so in our joy because there's not many problems.
Problem?
Well, there are problems, but they're not here right now.
That guy just lost his fish. I don't know, that's not really a problem for us.
Yeah.
Well, I when you shared what you just did, and I know a lot of people on repeat heard me tell the story of me losing my purse, but that's pretty much exactly what I did.
She did it, yeah.
To come into getting my purse back. How do you say that? Reunited. Being reunited with my purse just kept it was outside of me for a brief moment until I just stuck with the feeling of having been reunited with it, and that it finding the peace with having a great story, and then about 45 minutes later of it being stranded in the bathroom at a busy airport.
Yep.
It was handed to me as I walked in, as if they'd been, like, as if it was planned, because I just saturated it with the feeling of rejoice and joy and laughter.
That's
being
right.
able to tell a funny story about it. So think about, maybe for you, think about something that's an issue in your life. Maybe it's maybe you've got a relationship that's always on the rocks, or maybe you got a debt collector breathing down your throat, or maybe you're upside down with your living expenses compared to the your inflow of prosperity. Maybe your health. Maybe you've got a situation with your teeth, or maybe you've got a situation with your immune system or perceived
I have a
ill
situation.
health.
I have a situation with my teeth. They're fake. See? I had to have them replaced because I played hockey. But you see, you'd think that they would be ideal, but they're not, because I don't taste anything. I don't have the sensation of chewing my food, so I have a problem. Okay?
Okay, here's the problem.
That's a problem.
Okay. So let's do the PTT with your I'm sorry.
Okay.
Something smells so good.
Yeah, they're
I'm
cooking.
gonna have to make dinner. Oh boy.
Yep.
They're outdoor grilling and it smells good.
All right, so the PTT goes like this, and I like to snap the fingers. So would you do the honor of snapping your fingers every 4 seconds?
Okay.
Every 4 seconds, you're creating a metronome, 4 seconds. So in the middle of that space of the metronome, this is breaking my continuation of the evidence right here. See, this is pulling me out of the time construct of the continuation of the evidence of a problem and putting me in the now space where there is no problem. That's what it does. So what I'm doing is I'm going to reflect now upon a truth that God knows. And so his idea of consuming is forever satiating because all consumption is spirit. See? All consumption is spirit and it's forever satiating because it's only him. See, that's the truth. All consumption is spirit and it's forever satiating because it's only him. Okay? All consumption is spirit, and it's forever satiating because it's only him. Now, she taps one more time. Now, it is not it. Now I do the ABC, that's it. Could I allow for just this moment things to be exactly as they are? Yes. Could I allow even more for just this moment things to be exactly as they are? Yes. Okay, now we go to a place of peace. And we rest. See, this is, all I'm doing is creating a musical blueprint so you can play the music like Sabrina said she played when she found her purse, okay? I'm creating the note sheet for you so you can replicate the song. Okay, so what happens is we go to the place of peace. Now we occupy the state of rest as the reflection of the radiation of spirit that is perfecting this presence right now. So I envision myself to the best of my ability already having witnessed the consumption and the full satiation of all flavors, textures, and whatever it is that you feel when you eat. I have it. I now have it. Now I walk with that and I begin to time myself in accordance with that feeling, because feeling is vibration and it's octave. Mm-hmm. So all I want to do is get in line with the music that already is. Does that make sense? Did it make sense to you, or am I just like a weirdo?
You are a weirdo.
Okay, well, say.
You are a weirdo, yes. But that's what I've ever done, but you describe it and break it down in a way that's,
All I do is the same thing, is I look for, what I do is I apply a science to a phenomenon of a miracle. So I look for the miracle, and then I break down the step-by-step application of putting myself back into that space where the miracle happened.
So what the way that I've ever explained doing when you've described this and do the technique, I'm like, okay, well, the way I think of what it is that you're describing is when I have a problem, and then I feel that feeling of fear, I decide that's one option, and just like in the ABC, I say, okay, stop. And then I go beyond my immediate understanding of the best case scenario, even if I have to get really creative with my, just ideas of the most furthest extreme of making this possible situation good. Even if it's way beyond, like maybe 100 years from now, look at this situation is going to be the blessing because of whatever. Get really creative with your storytelling, or with my storytelling, and that'll allow me to feel that feeling of peace surrounding it, even if in the right here and now looking at it. Like, say you cut your thumb and blood is gushing out and you're like, how could this possibly be good? Well, you just go forward and, look at how it's going to heal or whatever. I don't know. Am I making sense, or am I going too many places?
Well, that's why I break it down into steps, because I see where you're going, but see the ambiguity of communication is that it's all rooted in time and the continuation of evidence of words that have more than one meaning. So if you have more than one meaning per word per sentence, you don't have a continuation of evidence, therefore you have no flow, because you've lost me. So
but then there's also different, ways of communicating. So like just taking to the furthest degree and finding that good feeling, saturating something so that it doesn't have that fear power.
Well,
isn't that kind of what you were saying?
Yeah, void of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, be in the state of peace, right?
Yeah.
Be in the state of peace. But the key is that how can you get there when you are being presented with the evidence of facts that tell you that war is upon you? Okay.
Use your creative thinking. Be
Okay.
creative. Like when we were at our worst point financially, and it looked as if it felt like the end of the world, I'd go to thinking of like people who are, starving with no home, and thinking about how blessed we were even with our perceived lack. Is that?
Yeah, because you just occupied the state of gratitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really, see, what's happening here is, see, this is where I come in. I come in and I say, okay, she took herself from a linear time train, which you were taught to think on growing up, because you're taught to think, I was born here, I age through time, and I exist here, and when I have a problem, I have to get through this problem to get to the solution. So what she's telling you is that she went quantum and she went parallel. And so she, instead of thinking, how do I get from a problem to solution, she said, I'm already going to occupy a solution. And she used her volition of thought to get herself there. So she went to the solution, and she comes to a place of rest in the solution. That's the ABC Break process.
Yeah.
But she just doesn't have the steps because she already knows them. So
to explain it the way you do in the steps is like, oh, okay, I get this.
I'm a transposer, so I see.
Yeah, you're translating it in a way
Yes.
to be able to apply it, to make sure
Thank you.
that if you're not,
Yes.
for somebody who's like, I think I'm doing it, I think I get it, but I'm not sure, then we'll follow the steps, and then
Yeah.
you'll know that you're actually doing what it is that he's explaining.
Yeah. For example, when I was young and I was unskilled in playing music, I heard guitar songs and I said, oh my God, that riff is so cool. First of all, it's Aerosmith. Walk this way. Right? That riff made me have to get a guitar when I was young, because I thought that was the coolest riff I had ever heard. And then I started hearing Jimi Hendrix, and I just became obsessed with guitar. I just thought it was the most fascinating thing in the world. But here's what I didn't know. I didn't know how to play that riff. I could see him doing it, and I'm like, I didn't know anything. But then I saw this tablature sheet, and it was like 0, 2, 1, and I like where to put the fingers on the board. And once I learned the tablature and I repeated it and repeated it and repeated it, I perfected the skill of playing the music. And that's what I'm telling you with the techniques is, so I'm creating a tablature for you to create a spiritual technique over and over and over, and as you repeat it again and again and again and again, you become proficient at it like a good musician. Yeah? Perfect. Yeah.
I think you need to share the view.
Oh yeah, the
I
views.
wanted to show you the tree. When we go back that way, you have to see.
Let's see if I can flip it around completely. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Should we go up there?
Nah.
I'll just give you a... It's so beautiful. But you guys will see this every time we come out here. This is heaven right now.
I know you have to get it every time. You gotta see it every time.
And even this, this building here, the harbor, what is this called? The Blue Harbor Resort?
Blue Harbor, yeah.
Oh, this is where we did our workshop.
Yeah.
Just such a gorgeous building. Just gorgeous. Remember how wonderful that was with Michael Jaco and all the good people that came and we did all that?
Yeah. It was right before the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
And the writing was on the wall. And that week after the workshop, Leora decided to do homeschooling. And 2 weeks later, all the schools in the country shut down.
Yes.
It was like, whatever. Yay.
Yeah, they did what they do. But here's the deal, is what we're going to do now is you look at this concept of you're here, right? And you're thinking, okay, the world's going in one direction, but I want to go in a better direction. So how do I move my vessel into a parallel universe so I can reflect to myself from my hologram this better world that I choose to see? You see? Because if infinite worlds appear and reappear in the vast expanse of my consciousness, like motes of dust dancing in a beam of light, that's the Vedic scripture. Let's break it down. Infinite worlds.
Yeah.
Okay, that means that there are as many realities as you can possibly imagine appear okay, and reappear. That's gravity and radiation. That's entropy, decay, that's birth and rebirth, death and life, cycles. That's electricity. In the vast expanse, that means expansion. The universe is always expanding. Consciousness itself is seeking expansion through you. You're the vessel of consciousness that life wants to expand through.
You want to go down here?
Yeah. So get this.
Yeah,
I'm almost done.
Sorry.
Like motes of dust dancing in a beam of light. So that means space is the eternal constant. Space is the reality. 99.9997 empty space. It means that everything you're seeing out here is not here. But why? Okay, here's the deal. Why are we seeing it when we choose to see better things? Like, for example, when we see the news and we see all this hate crimes coming against us, saying that they want to force inoculate us, which I consider a hate crime.
Well, I say to that, what I do is I affirm that plans fail every day. Period. It's okay for that outside world to have intent and things of that sort, but I don't exist in the world that they exist in.
Ah, there it is. Say it. Wait, so how do you do it? Okay, let's break it down. We're going to make a science out of this.
Listen, there are two types of people in this world. People who believe they can and people who believe they can't. I'm pretty sure you already know who I am. You see this, Mocaine. This is my secret. You know, probably you never heard of it because you are swinging around your local coffee shop and congregate with the sheep. Bah, bah. What's wrong with you anyway? So what you waiting for? Go on mocaine.com and little Tony will ship you some little baggies, risk-free, to try out. You should be killing it. You should be living like me. You should be living like me. But you ain't, right? You're missing this. This is the secret. This is the fuel to complete your mission. I'm putting powder all over the streets. I don't want to hear any more excuses, okay? You work for me now. I want you to be my customer. Go on mocaine.com and do the Mocaine Miracle Morning. I'm not gonna ask you again.
How do you seemingly not exist in the world they exist in?
I don't acknowledge that it's the same world that I live in. Period. I don't feel the feeling of them if and when I play in that feeling space that they've won, they outside of me have conquered my family and been able to do this forced inoculation. I decide that isn't the option I'm going to choose because it's all a choice. And my decision is that I don't exist in the world that they seek to exist in.
Okay, that was really good. See, when she says stuff like this, this is very technical. You guys don't see it. You guys completely missed it. So what she's saying,
they did.
You guys completely missed it.
No, they are with me.
Completely missed it.
You guys got it, right? It's a choice.
I went right over their heads. Trust me. Not everybody. I'm sure everybody that watched this video probably got it, but
I think they got it.
But okay, so
you guys are savvy. You guys are smart. You're only watching this because you're pretty badass.
But let's break it down, okay? Let's break it down. You said I do not exist. Okay, she used the power of her I. Okay, that's the power of your free will, your choice to decide. You said it with your own words. I decided, right?
Yes.
So the power of I decided it exists in a different octave, in a different frequency.
In a different world.
Frequency world, okay?
Yeah.
And so therefore, what happened? What happens?
I don't exist. I disappeared like that. It doesn't have any power over me.
Okay, pause right there. Infinite worlds appear and disappear in the vast expanse of my consciousness. So she said she just disappeared that whole world.
Yeah.
Okay, did you guys get it now? Because I tell you didn't get that before until I told you that, right? Now they got it.
Well, when we'd first been presented with these...
Wait, why do you think we went to 3 places with no masks on?
Because I was with you.
We're disappearing that world.
I
I brought the octave. I brought the octave with me.
I'll just share with you. I have been comfortably living in a bubble, at the being home with the kids, doing much outside, everything outside, and I haven't done a lot in a lot of retail spaces. But those few, the one day I did, I went to the grocery store, and then we went to the gym. And I felt the feeling that he's been sharing with me that he's been feeling. I kept saying, it's really not that big of a deal. I just go places where they don't wear masks. Well, and then when we went together out, then nobody had masks on anywhere.
When two or more gather in my name, there am I in the midst of them. I think it's the power of us doing it together. Truthfully told, because I created the technique for when I have to go out with myself into those venues, and I have to create my bubble of protection around myself. But when we went together, we seemingly disappeared the majority of that bubble.
Yeah.
It was quite extraordinary.
It really was.
Yeah.
We went to a restaurant, none of the servers or the bartenders, nobody had a mask on. The hostess, nobody had a mask on. None of the customers had masks on. There were a few times people walked in and then quickly took their mask off when they realized they were free and clear from the fear. And then the other places, no.
We went to karaoke, and where else?
And we went to the Rock Shop, our crystal store.
We went to a store, with a store right here, the crystal store, where I bought this one that I wear every day I got this for $7, and everybody compliments me on it. It's an amethyst, I love it. And so we went there, we went to the dinner, we went to the karaoke, and we were void of masks, except for like one or two people. It was a flipped reality where they were the minority and we were the majority.
Yeah, it was a very good feeling. And
that's never happened.
You know, I think the beautiful
without
thing
Sabrina
about,
and I together.
The beautiful thing about becoming aware of ulterior motives or agendas is that our power of the radiation, like us radiating love, saturating a situation, transmuting, like taking away any ammunition they may have or power to play out any of these plans. When enough people are aware of it and they're like, this isn't happening, you can pour your love, saturating it, and then all of a sudden it disappears and it's a thing of the past. It's like a gossip topic of conversation about the way things could have happened.
Okay, now let me break that down, okay?
Yeah.
She said the word, now watch this. I told you about how all these minds create these ideas, and that's why the agitation exists, right? It's mind-seeking embodiment, right? Like, for instance, the product is not the same thing as the one who produces the product, the creator of the product, okay? But the mind of the producer sends out, okay, the motion, and it becomes what we call the physical, which is nothing more than just the five senses perceiving that motion in a high potential state. That's it. Now get this. She says, we come the radiation. Radiation stops motion. Radiation, okay, disembodies creation. It destroys matter. It consumes it. So we are consuming matter and stopping the motion of that thought.
So here's like a few examples of plans that have been made that were supposed to be perfect, and they failed. Just to encourage those who are like, learning more, like what you're sharing about all the fear stuff, right? So what about the Titanic? The Titanic was supposedly designed to be an unsinkable ship. Their plan was to create a vessel to carry people that was impenetrable. And
apparently
it failed.
not to explosives though.
Right, well, let's not go there.
Okay.
But just right, that was just one example. But how many of you have made plans for the weekend and then the weather doesn't cooperate, so then you can't do your outdoor plans? But the plans were perfect. You had it planned out to a T of when you're gonna leave. You packed the food, you bought the food, you have the tent, the van is packed, the kids are prepared, everybody's ready, and then it rains. The forecast is perfect, but then out of nowhere, your plans are sabotaged because Mother Nature comes in and is like, we got another plan. Or somebody gets sick.
Right.
How many times have you had family vacations and then somebody gets sick and there's no possible way to do the plan? So, like, you can have perfect plans. These alleged plans that you've shared about that are being vomited out and spewed in the news that is just awful. Don't even surround yourself with any of that information.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
So you have attachments and aversions, okay? So every problem is also a solution, and a solution is also a problem, because they're the two twinning aspects of creation. They're the diametrically opposed forces. They're electric by nature, and that's why you see the waves like this. They go up and down like this, okay? So whenever you cause one force to happen, you also simultaneously create an equal and opposite force, okay? So what happens is, when you see tyranny expanding in this direction at a high potential state, what you're going to see is you're going to see freedom rising in exact opposite at the same volition. And so we choose to occupy the state of that opposition of freedom.
I do, hands down. Like, even when we, probably it was 2009, 2010, when some of this end of the world agenda had been brought to our attention. And on one hand, it was, let's be prepared for this so that we are ahead of the game. And then the other side of it was, I'd said, plans fail every day, and in worst case scenario, I'll go live in the trees and I won't even exist in the world that they're occupying. Like, I will be where they won't know, and I'll hide my children and we'll live like animals in the wilderness. Well, this is coming from a kid who spent the majority of my childhood playing outside by the creek and in the trees, so that's where I feel safe, is out in wilderness and Mother Nature. So but anyways,
yeah, I am invisible to the dark forces because I am the light that knows no night, right?
Yeah.
I am invisible to the dark because I am the light that knows no night.
Yeah.
Right? And what happens when the dark tries to encroach upon the light? Well, what happens if you have a dark room and you have a spotlight and you open up the door and the dark comes against the spotlight? What happens to it?
It gets brighter.
Because the light destroys it.
Yeah.
It's every single time without fail or exception. So we have darkness sweeping the planet. And so all I'm saying is, be the light.
I don't know. I disagree. I don't think it's darkness sweeping the planet. I think all of the darkness is coming to surface so the light can shed light on it.
Well, it's the same thing, because light is contained in the darkness seeking light.
Yeah.
That was Tesla's third law, I believe, second or third law.
I said earlier in conversation with Matthew that, all of this is really just bringing up all of the fear. So everybody is being spewed fear. Like, here's some people with masks on, but everybody's
just
being
one
spewed fear.
Mm-hmm.
In order for it to be so obvious, to be so overwhelmingly obvious that there's no point in being afraid of anything. Like, I think that to the nth degree, so many levels of fear between the riots in burning cities, defunding police, spewing about vaccines and closing down and masks, kids going to school, all this fear. People are getting to the point where they're fed up. It's like, that's it, I'm done. I don't care. I'm not afraid of anything. Because I can't be afraid anymore. I'm done. And that's what I'm hoping is really what's happening, is that it's like a pressure cooker, all of it to where it's just going to pop and be like, that's it.
Well,
fear doesn't work anymore.
You said it. Okay, so pressure means gravity, okay? So it's a gravity. Now get this. Whenever you take somebody and you give them a whole heap pile of money that they never had, right? It magnifies whatever qualities that somebody is. A generous person becomes more generous, a greedy person becomes more greedy, etc., etc. It's a magnifying glass. Currency equals flow, it's electric current. So when the intensity of the current is going in a stronger direction, okay, it's stronger now, the gravity becomes more intense and the radiation becomes more intense because they're equal and opposite forces. And so this is the playing out to the extremes of what we call reality through the five senses, and you can see it mathematically by taking the law where you multiply one number by itself, to the power of itself, and it goes out on this curve and it comes back to the zero. So it reaches its end point and it comes back, and that's the same laws of electricity. It all comes back to the ground state. But see, now it's just like a higher degree of awareness because people are becoming more aware of it.
It's all of the filth and the corruption and the dirt on this planet surfacing for the light to heal it. I say that in the prayers, like, Heavenly Father, bring about all of the filth that needs to be cleaned. You know, bring out, like, when you forget about some food in the refrigerator and it starts growing mold on it. That mold only grew because it was kept in the dark and it was forgotten. You got to bring it out to the surface. You can cut that mold off and still sometimes eat, you know, like bread or cheese or whatever. You can still, you know, it can still be made good. So
yeah, you can take off your,
not everything that's dirty, and
you can
not
take off
everything
your
that's
mask
been
and be made
corrupt
good.
is forever gone.
Yes.
It can be cleansed of its,
exactly,
you know, filth.
right. So if you're
or sins or whatever.
Yeah, if you're masking yourself and becoming molded on your face, you can take it off and become good again.
Yeah, and if you've been saying, you know what, because I've heard this from people, and I understand their point, which is, I just don't want to cause an argument. I don't want to make other people's lives more
I already addressed that in the beginning.
You did?
You didn't catch that because to be nice means in Middle English to be stupid.
Okay,
So,
yeah. Yeah, so, well, my grandma used to say, I don't want any nicey, fakey people.
Ah, there it is, fakey. That's what we're really trying to say, fakeness.
Oma would say that. Don't
Yes.
be fake nice to me. This is my, like, 90-year-old grandma. She was hilarious.
Nobody gets up in the morning and says, I can't wait to put my face muzzle on.
Yeah.
It's fakey.
Yeah.
And then they try to reason their way out of 1,000,001 ideas why it's okay. But it's never going to be okay because it was never in the mind of God. It's an abstract, erroneous, misleading statement that there is something out there that seeks to destroy you.
Yep.
And well, you see, when you put on the clothing of that miscellaneous and erroneous idea, miscellaneous, that's a new word, it's a miscellaneous idea. Instead, you should become perflected, okay? You should become perfect reflection of truth. So take your miscellaneous and make it perflected. That's what you need to do. Like this woman right here, she has no mask on. You see this? This is what a face looks like.
Yeah.
This is a breathing apparatus that God gave her, okay, based on His idea.
Yeah.
And just like God's idea can't be obstructed, neither can this perfect reflection be obstructed.
So have you ever, on a side note, totally side note, have you ever shared with them the pressure cooker that occurred when the whole quarantine started and what happened with us? Or is that a whole nother video?
Oh, that's a whole nother video.
Okay, well, why don't I share with you something Matthew's mother gave me as a gift. And this is, you see this sweet little gold cross with a little diamond on it? It was Matthew's grandmother's. And she just gave this to me yesterday, and I know it meant a lot to her to keep, and it meant a lot to her to gift it to me. And so I'm truly honored, and I wanted to share that with you because although Matthew has recently, you know, given me some very nice gifts, this one for some reason it means so much more because I know who wore it before me, and I'm totally honored. So.
Yeah, well, and I'll give you that backstory and we'll close out this transmission, but that backstory is that my grandmother raised me, and she was the one who always was she was the woman in my life that who loved me, wholeheartedly loved me. And so my mom, being, the all-wise mom that she is, she sees that in Sabrina, and she said, I'm going to give her that. My mom has always been 100 on Sabrina, so that's
I don't know who hasn't been. You. Just kidding.
I've always been 100.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to realize it. So
yeah, everything is.
I had to realize who that woman is.
Yeah.
See, that's why I put it on the ring, 19 verse 6 right here.
You've shared some of those pictures
Matthew 19,
from when
verse
we
6.
met, like 15, 17 years ago. Those pictures are old.
Yeah.
In 2003, 2004, 5, I don't remember what year those were, but
we
look at those pictures and we're like, holy buckets, that was a whole nother, there's been many lives in between that picture and now. Like, we've lived so much. We've packed a lot in.
Exactly. So this piece of wisdom, okay, we went to the rock shop, and the guy happens to be a minister, and he treats.
He's not a minister.
No, he said his rock shop is a
his
ministry.
Okay.
You can't have a ministry without being a minister. So he is a minister by default because he proclaims his store as unto the Lord, and his mission statement says to help people look upward. And so one thing he said to me was, he said that we have to prepare our day each day, knowing that, you know, it could be the last day. But we never want to assume that it's the last day, but we prepare as if it is. And so I think that really gets your heart right, because it puts you in the perspective, and this is what I learned when I had Lyme disease, is that every day could have been the last day. So it puts perspective on what's real in your life and what's fake. See, the fake stuff is all of the stuff that could go. If it were your last day, what's really important, right? Do you really want to pursue everything you're currently pursuing? If it were your last day, would you really pursue it?
That's a good one.
See, if it weren't, then you should not pursue it.
I'm not doing the dishes.
And you shouldn't do
Just
the dishes.
saying.
Kids should do. The kids should do the dishes. Why? Because they should honor you to their last day.
They do, and I just thought that was funny.
Exactly.
But I will make chili. I mean, it's cool out. I'm hot right now.
Yeah.
But the coolness that set in the wind made it really conducive for some chili making. So that's what we're gonna have for dinner. And the kids want to go to ice cream, so maybe we'll do an impromptu live.
We'll do a live on the ice cream, and this will be our pre-recorded session.
And I said, well, I'm making chili, so if you guys, whoever eats the chili tonight, you'll get ice cream. Oh, poor George, our son. He's the pickiest eater. He says, oh, my, oh man. But
all right, guys, we gotta condense this down so I can get it uploaded.
It's really good chili. Yeah, it was so awesome being here. I hope you liked my being here.
They demanded it, so.
Aw, I love you.
They told me, don't step on stage without your better half ever again. I said, that's fine, I won't.
You know, once he got to recognizing that he's, you know, when you meet him in person, behind this phone, this camera, he's very open and talkative and stuff, but he's talking to a phone, you know what I mean? You get him in an audience and he's like, I'm gonna tell. He's very shy. He'll be nice and talkative, but he's got a little bit of social anxiety.
I don't like to be extravagantly outward focused when I'm on people.
But I do. I am, and for a while in our relationship, he would let that offend him, my being all goofy and out there, blah, blah, blah. But I think our newest leaf we've turned over or whatever, or
we need each other because we complete each other.
I really appreciate what you do that is not comfortable for me. So here I am. Anyways, I will talk forever.
Okay, we gotta go, guys. Love you.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Shen with Allow Ministries. If you are new or just getting warmed up to this material, here's a great place to begin. Use the groundbreaking tools ABC break process, safe touch, and self-entrainment technique. These are the original spiritual millionaire workshop trainings. Matthew David discovered these techniques being bedridden and bankrupt. To develop a 7-figure business and today train like a pro athlete. Within a few minutes, you'll receive the first technique, ABC break free, followed by the next one, safe touch, 5 days later. Lastly, you'll be invited to learn Matthew's most powerful skill set to shift the vibration. What he believes to be true is you can occupy parallel universes now. This technique is called self-entrainment. You'll be invited to be personally mentored by Matthew David to master this once-in-a-lifetime skill set. Look for that text to arrive in 10 days. Matthew David has streamlined the learning curve to offer you his best material for rapid life transformation at the pace that works. It's a 30-day investment in yourself to achieve the inner game of permanent abundance and vitality structured as daily techniques to build your life strategically on a solid foundation that prospers you for all your days. It's a legacy to learn, profit from, and even teach to your loved ones. To navigate an ever-changing world with timeless and changeless wisdom, now it's your turn to rise above your circumstances and prove that all power is within you. Now to the number below and begin your fast-track journey to your best life ever. No matter what the outer circumstances seem to be, You can master your world. Starting now.